The next 30 years of democracy cannot be just a box-ticking exercise. What we hope to see post-elections is a renewed commitment to ensuring that the poor are taken care of. Black Sash is a 69-year-old veteran organization. We started off as an anti-apartheid movement, and subsequently now we're working in the space of socio-economic justice and social protection for the most poor and vulnerable in our country.
Black Sash was instrumental historically in terms of ensuring the right to vote, and also in the democracy that we celebrated was also instrumental in ensuring voter education so that everybody could vote as part of the democracy that they fought for.
Another big intervention was around the issue of grant access and the exploitation that was happening with companies like Net1, who would exploit grant recipients by attaching credit and attaching debit orders to their grants without permission. And so it was taking that to court and invalidating the contract in order to ensure that SASSA was responsible for making sure that people received their grants in a way that was meaningful without predatory practices.
We've played a very important role because we are the watchdogs to ensure that government is fulfilling its responsibility. And where they fail to do that, we hold them to account by taking part in the processes that government gives us in opportunities to be able to be involved, like public consultations, making submissions, engaging with government in different forums.
One of the things we've seen with government over the last couple of years is that they would engage with CSOs, but as a box-ticking exercise, which is not meaningful. The reason why CSOs are important in that space is because we tell you what is happening on the ground. You're making decisions by sitting in this office with no indication of what's happening on the ground. What makes sense is to have people who are on the ground, who sees the lived realities of people, help make those decisions. And so what we've seen with time is that we've had to resort to court processes to make sure that CSO's input are taken into account. I think all elections are important. And as an organization, we try to stay away from taking sides. We're on the side of the poor. And so I think whoever comes into power, whoever stays in power, it's important that they focus on pro-poor policies. They focus on policies that ensures that we don't have this huge wealth divide that we currently have in the country. It's not about who you vote for, it's about making an educated decision. We've done a scorecard with other CSO partners, a political scorecard in terms of the different parties and what they bring to the table. The idea then is just to get it to the ground to people, and people make an informed decision. So one of the things with elections and after elections as CSOs we're currently planning, the idea is not about who now sits in the seat. What matters is that whoever's sitting in those seats has to ensure that the constitutional promises made to people are honored, has to ensure that people are looked after in a way that we don't have people starving, we don't have children who are stunted, we don't have people without social protection. And so essentially post-election, for us, the battle simply continues. What we hope to see post-elections is a renewed commitment to ensuring that the poor are taken care of. But in the absence of that, we'll keep up the fight.
We need an honest government, we need a transparent government, and we need an inclusive government that will take consideration of those living in South Africa. We need to see that they fulfill the obligations and the undertakings that they made. So obviously, in terms of who will be in power, ensure what have they said in their manifestos, what undertakings have they made, and hold them to account.
So the role of CSOs, what we would actually like to see is it gets smaller, and the reason it should get smaller is not because there's some dictatorship happening, etc., but rather because we have a government that is capable and a government that really looks after its people. And as a result, the need for CSOs get less and less and less and stays around the policy issues. That's the ideal. But currently, the fact that we're only growing stronger because the gap is wider is highly problematic. The next 30 years of democracy cannot be just a box-ticking exercise. The fact that, we haven't fallen into civil war or there was an actual election, that's not what matters. What matters is that people's lives need to reflect the fact that they've lived in a country that was democratically free for 60 years. People's well-being needs to reflect that. It can't just be lip service where a few of us can attest to the benefits of the 30 years of democracy, but a majority of us cannot do that. And so for the next 30 years, we hope that there's a concerted effort to make sure that those who are the most vulnerable in our society are sort of brought up to a standard where they can say that they've enjoyed the democratic dispensation in which they live in.